What's a life hack that everyone needs to know? Story 1. I am shocked at the number of people who don't put their sheet sets in the matching pillowcase for storage until use. It keeps it all together. I don't. It wrinkles my pillowcases. I fold everything, keeping the matching sheets together, and then fold all pillowcases in a stack. I have no problem choosing the right pillowcases to match the sheets. They wind up in the same place, sheets and pillowcases, in the stacks. I don't do this because I change my pillowcases more often than I change my sheets. Changing sheets takes more spoons, but the pillowcases are most important for your skin. I do this with pillowcases too. I don't use the cotton ones that came with the sheet sets to sleep on. I got separate silk or satin ones, as those are best for skin and hair, as there's the least friction from those fabrics when you move in your sleep. Also, getting the sheets folded the right size and nearly enough to fit inside the pillowcase without being scrunched and crammed seems like an unnecessary effort. What's so disorganized about folding a flat sheet, folding a fitted sheet, folding a mattress protector, stacking 1 on 2 on 3, and placing that stack in the cupboard? Adding on to this, 10,000% get an extra set of sheets if you can afford to. It's so worth it. One comes off and goes into the wash, the other goes on. No waiting for clean sheets if there's an accident or spill or splash, or you forget to switch them over to the dryer. I personally don't like folding sheets and have a cloth bin that my extra set goes in. Dirty sheets come off and go straight into the wash. The bin comes out. Clean sheets get put onto the bed. The bin sits in the laundry room until the original set is washed and dry. Bin goes back into the closet. I change my sheets at least once a week and wash my duvet once a month. Story 2. Clean out your fridge before grocery shopping. Eliminates mystery Tupperware and always reminds you of something you need to pick up. Magnetic whiteboard on the fridge. After putting away groceries, I write a list of meat that needs to be cooked with its expiration date and a list of perishables to remember to eat. I have so much less food waste since I started doing this. Also a great place to keep a running shopping list as things get used up. I think meal planning solves this too. I never buy more than intended and I rarely buy snacks. I've never lost a container or forgotten something because I just look at the recipes that I plan to cook for the next 2 to 3 weeks and list down the ingredients that I don't have. The only times I forgot something was because the cheap supermarket didn't have it and I forgot to go look for it in the expensive convenience shop. Yes, I'm very organized. Maybe it's because the act of planning out my meals for the week, grocery shopping, meal prep or cooking, and cleaning up already feel like a lot of work to me, and adding an additional task of cleaning out my fridge every time before grocery shopping just seems incredibly daunting. I feel like at most it would make me realize I need like one extra thing that I may have forgotten. Story 3. I hate cleaning, but whenever I leave a room, I try to take something with me. It might be a piece of garbage, a dish, or an item that needs to be put away. It goes a long way to keeping things tidy without any real effort. 2 grandma sayings have worked for me. It's easier to keep up than to clean up. Don't just put it down, put it away. I tell my kids all the time, don't put it down, put it away. I know they don't love it, but I'm pretty sure they will say it in their head when they're adults, and then put it away. They might even roll their eyes and think, Mom. But then, if they have kids, they'll probably say it to them too and think, I'm turning into my mom, and I'll just laugh and laugh and laugh, because I'm turning into my mom too. See, I don't get this. Why are there pieces of garbage or dishes being left around anyway? I don't mean to sound like I'm so superior or anything, but I grew up in a house where when we stood up after eating, we put the plate away. If we have garbage in our hands, we throw it away. If we change our clothes, those clothes go to the appropriate place, not the floor. It's just mind-blowing to me that this isn't the norm. How do people end up with dishes, garbage, and loose clothes in a room anyway? It's a similar concept when working at a restaurant in my experience, hands full out, hands full in. In the restaurant situation, that means taking something out when you leave the kitchen, usually food, but always bringing something in, dirty dish, a table's check, etc. when coming back. To have it related to cleaning, whenever you're going somewhere, it takes an almost minimal amount of effort to see if you can grab something while you go. Grab a piece of trash to throw away on the way out. Grab a dirty napkin to throw it in the wash, etc. Doing this will leave mainly just the larger things, spraying down windows, vacuuming, scrubbing, left when you have to clean, and most of the minutiae will be taken care of already. We do the 10-minute shimmy. No one, adult or child, can turn on screens until the shimmy is complete. After the dinner chores are done, we put on some music for 10 minutes and set a timer, and everyone has to spend that 10 minutes decluttering. You can choose to shimmy anywhere. Pantry, bedroom, living room. My kids always beg to do the attic, lol, but you gotta spend all 10 minutes decluttering or dusting. Story 4. Rinsing your dishes and tableware immediately after use when the food gunk is still wet and washes away easily, rather than waiting for it to become cement. In college, I would leave dishes in the sink until something from a Biology 101 lab was growing on them. Then something changed and I became a dish freak. I can't ever leave anything in the sink or let stuff soak. If my wife is cooking, I'll wash the tablespoon right after she uses it. Not sure what changed, but I like it. Similar story, I feel like I know what changed, in me though. I always hated having the mess. It weighed on me mentally and was a chore that took mental energy to overcome, to get it done. Cleaning as I go is essentially free. It just feels like part of cooking. So, same, I clean immediately and it doesn't feel like a chore that way. The big one is spraying egg bits off of the spatula immediately. I've told my girls this 100 times. I do dishes 90% of the time and she still won't ever do it. When we have breaks together, I do it and say, see, it takes 5 seconds and I don't have to scrape this BS off later. If you use a dishwasher, it's actually not desired to do this. The modern dishwasher is actually so advanced. The pre-wash cycle requires the hard stuck-on bits to help sandblast the even tougher bits off. Most people don't appreciate the modern dishwasher or use it correctly, often negating the pre-wash cycle altogether, which causes more water usage overall because of extra rinsing you wouldn't otherwise need. Your dishwasher does a 15 to 30 minute hot pre-wash on most settings. Your dishwasher already rinses your dishes and does it for long enough that if food has dried or not, doesn't really matter. So long as you are scraping the big stuff off, keeping the filters clean, and adding soap to the pre-wash. No tablets, don't do this. Then you don't need to rinse, immediately or otherwise. Story 5. Learn all the keyboard shortcuts you can use regularly. I work in software dev and I've learned a crazy amount in the past years. The one that blew my mind, a principal ENG told me about. There's a setting in Windows, I forget where at the moment, so Google it, and it lets you hit Windows key plus V and it shows you all of your previous copies on the clipboard. Saves a lot of time. I got the rep to be a tech whiz at work because I use shortcuts for many things outside of Control Z or V. Alt-Tab, change Windows. Windows plus M, minimize everything. Windows plus L, install lock. Alt plus left arrow, go back in a web browser. Control plus page up or page down, change tabs in browser. Control plus P, print window. F12 and Office to save as are shortcuts I use on a daily basis, and many of my colleagues are amused when they see I rarely work with a mouse. It blows my mind how people at work are like, how are you so fast with a computer? We use Epic. And I'm just like, well, I'll teach you some keyboard shortcuts so that you don't have to keep going back and forth to the keyboard and mouse. It will take like a minute, and they refuse to learn. Oh, I can't learn all those. How on earth did you remember them all? Well, I learn a couple a week as I think, I do this a lot, surely there's a shortcut, and then I look it up. After a year, you've learned 100 shortcuts. I don't understand why some people seem to have an aversion to learning things that will make their life easier. Do other people know about Control plus Backspace? Instead of deleting a single character like Backspace normally does, Control plus Backspace deletes everything from the start of the current word to the current cursor position. Holding Control also triggers an upgraded version for a few other keys. Control plus left arrow or right arrow, move to the start or end of the current word. Control plus home or end, move to the start or end of the current document. Only works in supported applications. Control plus left mouse click equals an additional cursor at the mouse's current position, allowing you to simultaneously type at multiple positions in the document. Not keyboard, but mouse. Middle click / mouse wheel button / tap with 2 or 3 fingers on the touchpad. Middle click basically anything in your browser to open a new tab. Links, history, the refresh button, and back and forward buttons all create a new tab instead of taking you to that page in the current tab. Bonus, middle click a tab to close it. Double bonus, Control-Shift-T to reopen the last closed tab. Story 6. I can't motivate myself to clean long periods, so I've recently started playing turn-based or periodic games. At the end of every turn, I'll get up and do 5 minutes of cleaning. Then I can spend a day off playing games, but the house gets tidier instead of worse. I like doing calisthenics while playing soul-like games. Every time I die, I do 10 push-ups, squats, sit-ups, lunges, whatever. Good motivation to not die, and it makes you get good at 2 things at once. The combination of hyper-focus on the game and exercise keeps your heart rate nicely elevated too. I do this by watching football games. My team scores a touchdown equals 20 push-ups, an extra point made adds 5. My team forces a turnover equals 15 push-ups. My team scores a field goal equals 10 push-ups. My team forces a 3 and out equals 5 push-ups. This was great when my team was good. Now they're the worst team in the NFL, so I have started doing them during college football instead. If I get to the point of exhaustion or feel like I might get hurt, I switch to weightless squats. Or split the job up into more acceptable pieces. Don't clean the house, just clean a room. Do the living room on Monday, bedroom on Tuesday, kitchen on Wednesday, and you'll still hopefully end up with a clean place without feeling like there's an insurmountable burden of work ahead of you. I use an app called Finch, which is a self-care app where you have a little virtual pet, and every time you complete tasks, he gets the energy to go on an adventure or hatch his own pet, or coins to buy little outfits. My self-care isn't too bad, so I swapped out self-care tasks for boring daily household chores, and I hit 100 days of consistently doing chores that I hate. I've broken all of the big jobs down, so instead of cleaning the bathroom, I have a list of clean sinks, clean toilets, empty trash, clean floors, etc., which has made things easier for me. Some days I have zero energy to clean the entire bathroom, so I might only clean the sink and the toilet, but this is still better than 101 days ago when I was too overwhelmed to do anything. And quite often, once I start completing tasks, I find it easier to get stuck in and do the whole house. Probably thanks to the dopamine levels I get from looking at my little Finch. It's so silly, but it really has worked for me. I realize this may be a bit of a bougie thing, as it's just paying your way to comfort, and I might not do this if I didn't happen to live in a part of the world where labor is fairly cheap, but having someone clean my apartment once a week is the biggest hack for me. Like you, I don't like cleaning. And I've also realized my standard of clean is not other people's standard. I'll legitimately clean to the point where I feel like I've gone over everything, and other people will feel like I didn't clean at all. So now, once a week, someone comes and deep cleans everything. I still do the basics throughout the week, but don't have to worry about the nitty-gritty stuff. Story 7. Buy her, just because, flowers. Seriously, apology gifts always have the stank of the original mistake all over them. Just because gifts actually make her smile every time she looks at them and not think of a dumb thing that I did. When dolphins are trained, they get a fish every time they do a trick or exhibit good behavior, but you also have to give them a fish every once in a while that they didn't earn, because they need to know that the trainer's relationship to them isn't purely transactional. My family has always had a policy that we need to occasionally give each other unearned fish because it's important that we know that we care for each other. I hate flowers and my wife loves books, so I do my best to make sure I stop by the bookstore once a month and make sure I grab something for her. I keep a list of what's coming out, so if there's something I know she likes, I'll bring it home for her. It's a win-win. She gets books, we have a great little library, and I don't have to deal with the smell of dying flowers. No one's going to see this comment, but here's the real cheat code. I put reminders in my phone to periodically tell me to do things for my wife. Like every 3 to 4 weeks, it reminds me to buy flowers just because. Every 3 or so months, it tells me to write her a love note. It occasionally tells me to plan a date night. It tells me to take my daughter out for the day every 3rd weekend to give my wife a house to herself for a few hours. It appears spontaneous to my wife, but it's just my reminders app on my phone. It's a good way to help yourself be thoughtful on a regular basis. Responding to that edit, this is Reddit people. Gotta be right and everyone else has to be wrong for some of them, you know? They could turn the act of petting a puppy into "you're the biggest piece of crap in the world" in their heads. Olympic-level mental gymnastics. Not everything applies to everything. Everyone's situation is different, but our answers should imply that they are from our experience, and if you want to apply it to your situation, it might not be one size fits all. But nope, that makes you wrong. Giving small gifts to anyone can really strengthen bonds. A casual friend of mine was going through a bad breakup years ago, and I gave them a little houseplant and a ticket to an event I wanted to go to anyway. They were so touched, we almost immediately became closer friends who hung out all the time. People really never forget when you do thoughtful things for them, no matter how small. Coworkers, friends, family, partners, etc. Story 8. Do I need or do I want to? If I need it, I get it. If I want it, I wait for a few weeks, do some research, see if I can fit it in, and if I still want it a month or two later, then I might go get it. Turns out my wants are not always there after a while of waiting. It's new for me, but has changed my mindset drastically. My parents taught me this when I was a kid. One of my good friends/roommates was a total impulse buyer, especially with Prime, and said to me one day, "How are you so good at managing your money?" I explained that concept to him and it clicked. I realized this is hardwired into my brain. Whenever I have some spending money, my first thought is now I can buy something I really want. I start searching online for the things that I think I really want, but 90% of the time decide that I don't really need it. I end up saving my money or buying something I really need. I'd say most of my want spending is on delicious food, which isn't super expensive. I love doing a ton of research and really going down the rabbit hole on whatever product I'm looking at. Then after weeks of research and comparing a billion models and brands, I get the thing. The funniest part is all that fun goes out the window once I actually get the possession of the thing. It's like the research and the hunt for the best deal was the fun part. Is anyone else like this, or am I just a weirdo? I am guilty of this, except for 9 times out of 10, I don't buy the thing. It's to the point where I have friends ask me if I'll keep an eye out or research something for them because they know I'm into the hunt or research part. I love doing it for others because then I get to do the fun part without buyer's remorse in the end. I'm kind of the opposite of this, I guess. I hate doing the research, but I'm so cheap I won't buy something before I know everything about every option available. On the bright side, when I do end up buying something, I'm rarely ever disappointed or left wondering. The downside is that 80% of the time I either talk myself out of it or decide that the only acceptable version is too expensive. The wins are cool though. I wanted to put a new head unit and reverse camera into a used car I recently bought, and I knocked the price down from $1,200 installed to $400 and still got everything I wanted. So many people tried to talk me out of going the cheap route, but I did my homework and I knew exactly what I was getting into. Story 9. Put salt and pepper on their burger patties. I swear I have the same conversation every time I host a cookout. Your burgers always taste so good. Salt and pepper. How did you learn to make them? I put a little salt and pepper on them before cooking them. I could never get my burgers to taste right. Have you tried salt and pepper? I have a friend who owns a burger place. Everyone asks what he seasons the burgers with to make them so good. It's a secret, but he told me he uses salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. I do the same with eggs, and I also cook them until they aren't funny anymore. I've had multiple people ask what my secret is. What secret? I'm not Colonel Sanders. There are no secret herbs and spices. I just put a little salt and pepper into the bowl as I'm mixing up the eggs, and I fully cook them because I like my food fully cooked. It's not intuitive. People think of salt as bad for you, so if they add it at all, it's just a sprinkle, a tiny bit. The key with burgers and steaks is you put on a crap ton before cooking, like to the extent that it's visibly covering the meat. Does a lot of it slough off the grill? Yes, that's why I started with a crap ton. Story 10. Do favors for tomorrow. Car getting low on gas? Do me a favor tomorrow and get it on the way home. It's almost bedtime, but there are dishes in the sink. Do them as a favor to your future self. While you're at it, get tomorrow's clothes together and get your lunch packed when you're not rushed. Tomorrow, you will love it. And when today you are enjoying all the things that yesterday you did to make your life easier, remember to thank yourself for doing it. I know it sounds silly, but this has really helped motivate me to get stuff done promptly instead of at the last moment. Future me is so well taken care of. I am constantly doing stuff to get it out of the way for tomorrow when I know I'll be rushed and won't have the time for it. So now I feel like I'm always getting something ready or prepping for tomorrow in some way and rarely get to enjoy today. Hard to balance. My boss and I share an office. We adopted this saying about a year ago when we were severely understaffed and feeling it. Be the Friday self that your Monday self appreciates. If I push hard on a Friday, I get the absolute luxury of having a chill Monday. Self-discipline is hard, but the reward is so worth it. For all those questions that are, what's something you would tell a 20-year-old you? This is the one. When I was 24 to 26, I saw a Reddit answer that was something like, if it takes less than 3 minutes, just do it now. put away clean dishes, hang up clothes, put new TP on the dispenser, and take out full recycling. Whatever, less than one full length of pop song, you got time. You think you don't wanna now? After a 10-hour shift, you definitely won't wanna, especially if you gotta be up in 6 hours. Help future you out while you have 3 minutes of energy to spare. Probably the easiest and most relevant adulting advice I've ever followed. I think of annoying chores in terms of, will this annoy me more now or specific time? Will emptying the dishwasher and filling it with dirty dishes annoy me more now or when I'm rushing around in the morning to get ready for work? Let's do it now. Would I rather mop this floor now or when I get home from work? Would I rather clean the toilet now versus before I go to bed? And sometimes I do leave it for that other time, but it's like a contract in my head. I had to choose between A and B. I choose B, so now I have to do it. I'm not great at this for the simple day-to-day, but there are certain times when I really nail it. The other day I tried to use my digital thermometer and the battery was dead. My husband volunteered to check and see if we had a battery that would fit it, which was not given because it's one of those flat circular batteries, a kind we don't use much. He came back laughing. "Well, did we have the right kind?" I asked him. "You tell me," he responded and held up a little resealable plastic sleeve with a battery in it. Written across the plastic bag in my handwriting were the words, "Battery for a digital thermometer." Thanks to me from the past, no fumbling around the battery drawer trying to read the tiny writing in search of the right kind. Story 11. Keep a camping chair in your trunk. You never know when an opportunity for a good seat might arise. I've been doing this for years. My wife and I keep 2 in there. We never get an opportunity to use them. Then, 2 weeks ago, we went for a big family picnic. We being me and our toddler. My wife was home feeling unwell. We were halfway across a big field looking for somewhere to sit when I was like, wait, I have the perfect thing. I ran back across the field to grab them, came back and unfolded them. I offered one to my stepmother. Then my daughter plopped herself down on the other, and I ended up sitting on the freaking floor. I keep a couple of towels and a roll of paper towels in my trunk as well. Once the towels came in handy in helping with a car accident. This is a side tangent, but a few years ago, my ex and I used to drive all over on our days off. And one day at a yard sale, we found a picnic basket. Grab it and put paper plates, foil, utensils, and spices in it, and it just stayed in his car. Once we did that, it took our outings up a notch. We were grilling at state parks and beaches at least once every couple of weeks. I have some really great memories from that picnic basket. Still have it too. My wife and I keep camping chairs and a cooler because every time we needed a chair or a cooler, we never had one. So we wound up with 5 coolers and too many damn chairs. I keep a porta potty on one small trailer hitched to my truck. It's great for family road trips as you don't even have to get off the interstate, which is nice when you have 5 small bladders, that's counting my wife, in the truck with you. I also take it to work. I've got a bit of a drive on the interstate to get to work. There's frequently a complete stoppage from accidents. It's pretty nice to be able to take a crap, read the newspaper, and smoke a cigarette or two before the traffic starts moving again. It's also handy at work. It's literally having your own bathroom at work more than walking into a bathroom wondering what in the world Bob in sales could have eaten the night before. I'm afraid I'm going to have to put a lock on it because I saw a short, balding new guy exiting my porta potty with a big smile on his face. I think his name is Costello or Costanza or something like that. Anyway, a porta potty on a trailer is a life changer. Story 12. I struggle with cleaning, but what I tend to do so I don't get overwhelmed is write out a list numbered 1 to 20 of tasks I need to complete. I break it up into small pieces and then I roll a d20 die to pick tasks off of the list. It removes the overwhelm of deciding where to start, and it keeps me on task so I'm not bouncing between 5 different tasks at once. I also usually add things like drink water or check laundry if I don't have a full 20 things to complete. Yes, gamifying cleaning is a life changer. Also, alternating playing a video game with 5 minutes of cleaning. I do this one with my son a lot. We'll play a day of Stardew, then spend 5 minutes cleaning his room. We have fun, get some bonding time, and his room gets clean. Adding to this If the flat is a mess and I don't want to deal with it, but I have to, I set a timer for 15 minutes. Anyone can do 15 minutes of chores, and you'll probably be still doing something when the time is up. So you finish that, and at least for me it works. I already had the next thing in mind, and since I'm already in the flow of doing things, I keep going until I decide it's good enough. And it looks so much better after that. Plus, it feels like I've done a lot in only 15 minutes. The knowledge of what I can accomplish in 15 minutes is gone quickly, which is very rewarding. I use a site called Workflowy to organize basically everything in my life, a bulleted list-based method. And you can do lists within lists. I have a running to-do list, and every time I think of something I really need to get done, I add it there. Every day, I commit to crossing at least one thing off of that list, which has been life-changing. When I remember to add things, just have to get in the habit of adding things when you think I need to do that soon. It very much reduces my mental clutter to commit to crossing off one thing per day and actually doing it. Stresses me out so much thinking of unfinished tasks. I do something similar. I just put all the things I need to do in a day. Could be things that specifically need to be done that day, like booking an appointment or picking up something at the store, or it could be something I have to do every day, like laundry, dishes, walking the dogs, into a random word picker. Then I generate my list back to me, but it's in random order, so I just take a screenshot and go down through the list throughout the day. I know it sounds weird, but randomizing my list of tasks just makes them easier to do. And then I don't feel like I have the exact same routine every day. I have a spin the wheel app on my phone. I type in all the cleaning tasks I need to complete, set a 10-minute timer, and then spin the wheel. It makes a fun sound. Anything that doesn't get done in 10 minutes stays on the wheel. And I spin again. It is so satisfying to delete tasks off of the wheel and see the other pieces get bigger and bigger. Tacking on, if you have trouble putting the money away when you get it, move out of the way to put it away, so that you're not blocking anyone. I have intentional hand tremors, and it takes me a while to put money or receipts into my wallet. I move the hell out of the way so I'm not holding up anyone. I also put my change in my hand before being ringed up. It's not ever the exact amount, you just don't know. So you can grab what you need without holding people up while you dig out your change. Story 13. 2 color-matched 10-pound flower bouquets combined are normally more varied and bigger than a 20-pound bouquet. A Costco employee told me that customers can ask for specifically colored bouquets that don't cost more than the pre-made ones at the store. The customer service desk will provide the number for the vendor who does the flowers, and the specially ordered ones can be picked up the next day. This includes massive orders for events, I think. I thought that was pretty cool. And you don't have to be a Costco member to order flowers for delivery. I've gotten rave reviews after sending Costco flowers, and they're about half the price of other florists. You can sometimes get 3 dozen roses for $40. The box they come in doesn't say Costco either, so no one will know. And I think delivery is free. Non-members pay an extra 5%. You can also get tabletop bouquets in bulk for events or parties. Comes in sets of 10 of the same bunch. Also, wedding greenery and flowers are stupidly cheap. Huge amounts of olive branches for $150, free delivery. Baby's breath is the cheapest I've seen too. Super fresh, and it lasts forever. Story 14. I use Ziploc bags in my junk drawer. It's not organized, it's just a handful of junk-filled bags. It makes looking through the junk easier. Instead of sifting through a bunch of junk and loose items, I'll pick up a bag and inspect it for something I'm looking for. Junk bags inside a junk drawer. If you have a drawer for cables, they each go in their own bag. Every single one of them has its own bag. Stop the rat's nest. You know that weird cable with connectors you've never seen before but just found in your cable drawer? Yeah, that's because they form a big mating pile in the drawer if you don't separate them, and they've hybridized. Keep them separate. Story 15. For household essentials, buy more than you need right away. Example, I have 2 packs of toilet paper rolls. One is now, and I store it in the bathroom. The other is later, and I store it in a closet. When now is empty, I get out later. Later becomes the new now, and the next time I go shopping, I buy a replacement. That way I very rarely run out of anything. This has always been second nature to me. probably since the first time I ever ran out of something without a replacement. It was a little bit concerning when all of the soap and toilet rolls were out of stock during the pandemic. I didn't need to buy any for that whole period, just from sticking to my normal habits. Story 16. I see people doing wild mental math trying to figure out tips. If you move the decimal one place to the left, you have 10%. Double that for 20%. Divide it by 2 and add it to the original number for 15%. You can get 1% by moving the decimal 2 to the left and multiplying that by any number to get that percentage. This is so true. I've had to explain it to my friends and they just stop me and say, "I'm not good at math." But this isn't even hard math, it's moving a dot. Total is 4587? Okay, move that dot one spot to the left. And you know that 458 is 10%. Not hard to multiply by 2 to get 9.16 for 20%. I understand the frustrations with math if it isn't your favorite, but this is a cheat code that makes things way easier so you don't have to hate math as much. Thanks for watching until the end. If you have a similar story to these that you want to share with us, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.